here's the thing. For everybody listening, don't make the same mistake the Bengals just did in any facet of your life.
People are going to get hurt. It's the hockey season.
What about the Jared Cook play on the sideline?
I was very tempted to just put defense.
I'm saying it right now. If Anthony Davis is out for the playoffs, they don't make it out of the first round.
Come on, Austin and I have been saying this ever since Joe Burrow got injured.
I don't really think the Dodgers are going to make the World Series this year. I feel like they'll make it to the NLCS.
The Fernando Tatis extension, because that really surprised me.
Like you said, Ovechkin, he's getting older. He hasn't been playing as well as I imagined. He's one of the greatest goal scorers of all time, but he hasn't started off this season as hot as I would hope.
Hi, I'm Jeff Allen, and you're listening to Outsiders Opinions with Kevin and Austin.
What's up, y'all? Welcome to our NFL Opinions of the Week, 2 days in a row. I'm Kevin, and I'm joined by the man as we enter into this wonderland about the NFL MVP discussion. Austin.
Yeah, this is one of the most open MVP races I've seen in a while. I could see a lot of arguments for a lot of different players, whether it be Jalen Hurts, Brock Purdy, Dak Prescott, Christian McCaffrey, Tyreek Hill. I don't really know, and I think these next couple weeks will really determine that. Who are you leaning towards?
I don't want to go QB. I'm glad you mentioned Dak because people are like, oh, the NFC QB. It was talking about like, man, the Niners are being the NFC QB of the year. And I'm like, what do you mean Dak's not playing today? And they did not like my response. As a Dak hater, or I don't know, I'm not a Dak. I love Dak the person, quarterback. He's had a great year. Hurts, just because he's on a great team, he struggled. If you look at the stats, it's kind of even. Dak has done well in turnover-wise. But I'm leaning towards non-QB. I think this would be a perfect year for non-QB. You got Tyreek Hill. You also got McCaffrey, as you mentioned. To me, they haven't done anything spectacular, but I think given the lack of quarterbacks, like Dak's had a great season, but I don't know if it's MVP level. I'm not a huge fan of Purdy. I think he's just surrounded by great weapons, and he does a great job getting the ball to them. But my opinion of Purdy won't change until the playoffs.
So who are you leaning towards?
I almost want to say Tyreek Hill, then maybe Dak. It'd be cool if Dak won MVP, but we'll have to see. He has some key games coming up, depending on how he performs against the Eagles, Lions as well. I think that's some key things. I think if Hill hits 2,000 receiving yards.
Yeah, but that wouldn't even be as impressive as Calvin Johnson's because of the extra game played. Calvin Johnson got to 1964. So that would only be 36 more yards and an extra game. I think if he hit 2,100, that's when I would make that distinction. Christian McCaffrey is also really close. He's already has about 1,500 all-purpose yards when you include rushing, which he already has over 1,000 yards, and receiving. And he's on pace for 24 touchdowns this year. When you add up all of his, or maybe it's more. Let me do the math really quickly. He has 17 touchdowns, including receiving and rushing, and times 17. Yeah, he's on pace for 24. 24 touchdowns this year would be an insane amount. I don't know. I need to see how the Dolphins continue to play against tougher teams because they still have yet to have that huge game. And while that may not be necessarily an MVP point, I think it would be. It's going to come down to the wire. I think it will end up being a QB winning it, if I had to guess.
Yeah,
it's just really hard this season.
And I think if Hill doesn't get to 2,000 or 2,100, then McCaffrey, because to me McCaffrey is the most valuable player on that Niners team, because he makes that offense just so dynamic with his skill.
Yeah, he is so remarkable. His ability to add in the rushing and receiving game is not matched by many players ever, let alone this season. It's going to be really tough. I do think the 5 people I did mention, whether it be Hurts, Dak, Purdy, McCaffrey, and Hill, are in the conversation. I could also see.
I'm gonna bring up a name. Why I would almost say like I would put Stroud in there too.
Yeah, but Stroud's had some poor weeks the past couple weeks. That's really the problem, right? Is that let's see, he's 20 touchdowns, 5 picks. He's not leading. I mean, I could see him up there, but they would have to start winning games at a higher clip. They need to start going on a win streak. If they got up to 11-6, 12-5, I could see it. I think he deserves to be in the conversation. But
I agree. What's your selling point on Purdy for his MVP?
Well, a lot of people say, oh, it's the guys that he's surrounded by, yada, yada, yada. Well, if you go by yards after catch, people say he's a yak merchant, yards after catch merchant. He has the lowest percentage in a long time for QB candidates. Mahomes last year was at 54% of his yards were yards after catch. This year, it's only 48% for Purdy. It's been over 50 the years that Rodgers won it. The lowest amount recently was Lamar Jackson when he won it at only 43% of his yards. Purdy's making impressive throws. He's leading the best team in the league, in my opinion. I do think there's a serious argument for it to be made. I don't necessarily know if he's the guy, but he has 23 touchdowns. He has the highest completion percentage. He has the highest touchdown percentage. He's the most yards per attempt. He is the best QB rating. He has the best QBR. He's been extremely, extremely impressive. And if he did win it, I would not think it was necessarily a bad choice.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I'm definitely in that camp. I just want – I know I've seen like the Ayuk throw from Purdy to Ayuk was really good, that touchdown.
It's just that against really tough opponents, like against Dallas, against Philly. He had 4 touchdowns, 0 picks against both Philly and Dallas. Against Jacksonville, who was the top seed in the AFC last week, when he played them 4 weeks ago, he had 3 touchdowns, no picks. Against the top teams, he's playing relatively perfect. And that's not something you usually see. If you go to those, like I said, 3 teams that are leading their division that he's played, he has 11 touchdowns, no picks. He went over 300 yards in one of those games, with one of them having 296. He had a high percentage of passes completed. He had a 95.2% pass completion percentage against Arizona in week 4. He's been remarkable. Now, I don't necessarily know if he's the most valuable because of CMC. That really does, I think, diminish it. The same thing with Acuna and Matt Olson or Freddie Freeman and Mookie. Like, how does it affect you having another MVP candidate on your team as being the most valuable player, not just one of the best? But I do think he has a legitimate chance. And the story around him, positively or negatively, I think he's been great.
Okay. Yeah, I think he's like he is a very good quarterback. I'm just interested, is he an elite? Is he one of those upper echelon QBs? And to me, my opinion won't change until I see what he does in the playoffs this year.
That's fair.
Yeah, and then I'll give you this stat. So this one is Aaron Rodgers. So I will have stats from Aaron Rodgers and then one of these MVP candidates. I'm not sure if you've seen this. So Rodgers and this guy. So I'm just gonna tell you the yards, touchdowns, and picks for both players, and we're kind of gonna do a blind comparison. And I'm gonna ask you to guess which candidate it is and which one is
Rodgers.
Yeah. So both have 9 wins. You have one quarterback.
Is this through week
13? Yes.
Okay.
I think actually I'm trying to look to make sure. Yeah. I'm just gonna say both have 9 wins. Rodgers, I think, had a bye week, so he has 1 less loss. So you have 2,954 yards, 26 touchdowns, 4 picks, or 4 turnovers. Then this other guy, okay, I guess I gave it away. Rodgers has 2,954 yards, 26 touchdowns, 4 turnovers. Then this other guy has 3,408 yards, 28 touchdowns, 6 total turnovers. Which one of the candidates is that?
You said 28 touchdowns?
28 touchdowns.
28. Is that including rushing?
I'm not sure. Just says TDs. I would say maybe yes.
Yeah, I think it would have to be because I don't think anyone has 28 passing touchdowns yet. The leading passing touchdowns I know is Dak, but I don't think it's 28. I'll go Dak.
You are correct. It is Dak. Yeah, I kind of fumbled that with the mixing it, but yeah, this is Dak versus Rodgers, and Dak has made some great plays. I really love the way he's playing, but I think it's some critical moments because he hasn't played great teams. But I think the way he led that offense against the Seahawks was great. One of my favorite throws was probably to CeeDee Lamb, and CeeDee Lamb didn't even catch it.
That's true.
It was between
I do remember us talking about that play.
Yeah, the 3 defenders, and he just rifles one in. So I think the Eagles game is a huge game for him. I think he'll perform well, and then you got the Lions too. So that would be if I had to choose a QB, I'd go Dak. But just because I think you look at the players surrounding, Hurts is good, but he struggled. And if you look at him and Dak statistically, Dak leads in a lot of categories.
Yeah, I know that Hurts has more touchdowns though. I think he leads the NFL in most touchdowns because he has 12.
He does
rushing.
also have more turnovers. Like I think he's above 10.
He's at 10 picks. I don't know how many fumbles he has.
Okay, it was like Dak had like 4. I wonder if Dak has a fumble. Or 2.
I'm sure he does. There's no way he doesn't.
Yeah,
I'd be shocked.
Dak was at like 4 picks.
I searched it up. Dak has 1 fumble,
He has 1 fumble. Okay, so I guess he has 5 picks.
and it was against the. No. But he has 6 picks. Dak does.
Oh, Dak. Yeah.
But he had 1 fumble against Philly.
Okay, so he has 6 interceptions. To me, he's
But
just been great.
It just wasn't a fumble lost. So he has no fumbles lost.
Okay,
Hurts
so he has
has.
6 turnovers.
How many fumbles lost does he have? I see how many fumbles he has, but how many fumbles lost? I do not know.
Looking.
He has at least 2.
It looks like he's lost 2. So it's 12
Yeah.
total turnovers versus Dak. 6. So
Yeah, it's either 2 or 3. So but I think that game against Philly, if the Dallas loses both against Philly, I find it hard for Dak to win MVP.
yeah, I feel pretty confident the Cowboys beat the Eagles on Sunday. So I think they're 1-1 against each other. I don't know why I have that confidence, but I just feel like the Cowboys should show up, but we'll see.
Yeah, this is definitely one of the harder years to vote for MVP, and I could see it going a number of ways.
Yeah, and it just seems like they're leaning QB, but I think you and I are both in agreement. It'd be fun if it's not QB and show some love to the others, because after Adrian Peterson's the last quarterback to receive the award, I believe.
Yeah.
So, and ever since then, it's just been QBs, and that's my view of it. And I think they're just like, oh, quarterback touches the ball more, should go to a QB. But no, let's give it to some other positions. And I think there are some good cases. I would just lean not quarterback.
It's really hard, though, because it's most valuable. And usually the most valuable player is a QB.
Yeah, especially in today's league. But I think the case is there for McCaffrey more than Hill. But if Hill does something exceptional, like 2,100 yards. You got to see it. And then maybe this MVP case gets made for these quarterbacks as they get some huge wins, as I'm thinking about Dak. Because if the Cowboys win, the Cowboys game to me against the Eagles is very big to me because, all right, is this the same Cowboys team or is this a team that can really handle some adversity and maybe make some trouble in the playoffs? But I know it's not MVP discussion, but it could go into the MVP case if Dak has some great throws in these final few games.
Yeah, I completely agree.
Yeah, that's all I got. Any final thoughts, Austin?
Nope.
All right. Thank you all for listening. Let us know if you disagree with our MVP. If there's an MVP case that you want to make in the comments, let us know. Thank you for listening to Outsiders Opinions.